Very good morning to all the members. Today we will be conducting 40th webinar of Gyan Ganga series. Today we have a topic on CPM case studies followed by question and answer. Just before starting this session, while we are discussing with Senani sir, we found that the time allotted to this webinar is very less. So we will divide this webinar again into two parts. So frequently asked question we will be taking in next session that we will be conducting in next week, and the case studies we will be taking in this session. In this case studies, if you have any questions, you can ask in last 10 to 15 minutes, or you can write us on training@isla.net, so we can add it in FAQ and we can take it in the next session.
Thanks.
So today's our faculty, Mr. MS Sainani. I will request Mr. Sainani sir to start with today's session, CPM case studies.
Thank you, Sachin.
Mr. Sainani
Good
sir,
morning,
welcome to
everybody.
this. Yeah.
Morning, sir.
Okay, shall I start?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
My voice is audible, clear, and loud.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, let us get going. Okay. Good morning, everybody. So today we are going to take CPM case studies. As we know, CPM is an engineering general policy, and number of population of these equipments are growing day by day, and it is different from other engineering policies. So let us go straight to the case studies. The first case study is free fall of an excavator from height, a case of total loss. Now, I am not particularly focusing on repair basis losses because the concepts are demonstrated in this total loss, and this first case will be detailed case. Rest of the cases will brush up the principles on case to case basis, and then we will go on to the next case. So what is the session plan? Today's session plan is 6 case studies. The first case study will be in detail. We will discuss about abstract of the case. Then we will go on to the photographs with comments. I have deliberately separated these photographs from this presentation because it takes a lot of time to load these, and hyperlinks are creating problem in presentation. So I'm going to switch between PPT and between the photographs. Then every policy is having certain limiting conditions. I have listed out those as GST input treatment. This has become very important because in earlier era, this was treated differently, and now with evolution or with evolving principles of GST, this is to be treated at first for addressing to the claims issues. Then betterment. These two are not listed in policy. Okay. Now, if you see the policy basis of insurance says including dues. So GST has come up due, which we are considering in dues, and there's a betterment which is broadly indicated in policy, but normally not treated in case of major losses. Then depreciation in case of repair replacement basis and total loss basis. Next point would be average or underinsurance. Next would be salvage and excess. I have this time treated excess in little bit detail because the boom section is creating a lot of confusion in minds of the members, and hence I have given a separate slide to this particular point. Okay, now let us go to the abstract of first case. My insured is Chandna Granite Private Limited. It's a granite mines having a depth of say about 120 feet. Type of policy is CPM. Item involved is a Volvo EC290 BLC hydraulic excavator. Here, in this particular case, I have demonstrated a point of betterment in upcoming slides. What is the nature of damage? It has fallen freely from a height of about 22 to 25 feet, and the damages are of impact damage nature. Now, these excavators or these heavy equipments are having a dead weight of about 20 to 30 tons. This is a something in between 20 and 30 tonner class equipment. Now, when an equipment of say sensitive alignments and electronics and all that falls from that height, it is bound to suffer severe damages, which we will see in the photographs. What is the cause analysis? Now, I wish to go to photographs first so that we can relate these things with the occurrence. Now, this is the relevant case. You have a look at the excavator which has fallen on right side, and I have mentioned some comments. The dead weight of LC290 is about 29 metric ton, and a free fall from height of 22 foot has resulted in severe impact damages. That means there's every possibility of misalignment of the boom, of the arm, of the swing frame, and the lower frame, and there are other impact damages also. So on day one, when I visited the loss, it was apparent that this is going to be uneconomical. Now there are other reasons also. Most of the heavy equipments you will find that because of competition, these equipments are sold at a relatively cheaper price. I don't say that it is sold less than cost of manufacturing, but they reduce their margins to the lowest level just to stay afloat and grab maximum number of equipment sale. Okay. Then it is their spare policy that they make their spares very expensive, particularly low moving or non-required type of parts, which normally come up in insurance claims. Okay, so first visualization gives an indication that this is going to be a case of total loss. One moment, please. I think. Have a look at the photographs from other side. Though it has fallen on right side, but you will see that the frame of the cabin is also impacted. That indicates that it has rolled over. It has not only fallen on one side, it has rolled over, and the edge of the cabin has impacted, is impacted by the edge of this particular vertical wall, which is visible here. Okay, so this is the two-side damage, and the dead weight is so dead weight impact is so heavy that this idler has come out. Now disoriented track chain. Now have a look at this disoriented track chain. This track chain is oriented. This is giving an indication that the lower frame is also bent. Now have a look at the front end of the boom. There's an impact on earth on this boom. This had led to warping of the boom, which calls for replacement. A view from top. I think this is giving a fair idea from where it has fallen and what is the height, which is about 22 to 25 feet. Another view from top, a closer view of track. If you have a look at this sheared track, frame track is sheared, and this definitely calls for replacement. Any amount of repairs would not make it a serviceable or a satisfactory repair part. Now have a look at this rod. This rod is also bent, okay, because of the impact. This is, I think these are the photographs supplied by the insured, and from here I started taking photographs. So I have got a habit of marking what the identification is, because it becomes easier for the insurers or the person who are processing the file to comprehend. It is like this idea I got from comics. They have a call out, they have some displays, so it is easy to relate, and not only for them but for you also. You can immediately correlate what was done at the site. Just have a look at this yellow and have a look at the red. This was the place where it was working, and this is where it has fallen. So these are the 3 or 4 stage mines. Lot of opening. If you see this 30 feet opening had to be done to reach to the material. Now this is a serial number of the excavator is given. This was retrieved from the mines and kept at their yard. Have a look at this. Can anybody say this is a case of total loss? No. Apparently, for a common man, it cannot be termed as a total loss, and for even insurers also, it cannot be termed as a total loss. Okay, and we have to see meticulously each and every part, each and every major item, relevance of the item, and how this item is going to be used. and what is the importance of these items. If this is not as per manufacturer's specification, if this is out of alignment, if this is warped, if this is bent, what implication it is going to have. The most important thing is these pieces of equipments are very expensive, say 1 crore and above. A smallest mistake will lead to downtime, maybe 10,000 rupees, 10,000 an hour or so. So the ultimate objective of having such an equipment will be defeated if downtime is high due to repeated breakdowns. Have a look at the pedals. These pedals are also jammed due to impact. Diesel tank and hydraulic tank is also bent. And this is the track frame which is sheared, which we have seen in another photographs. Have a look at the rod. Can you observe this bending of the rod? This clearly shows that it has suffered a severe impact while falling, and because of the fall, the rod is bent. This is the serial number of machine, and model and type is also given. If you see, the machine mass is also given, though it is not very clearly visible. These are the hour meter readings. I mean, it had done 1525.4 hours only. This helps in deciding the depreciation to be applied. Impact transfer on RHS boom cylinder rod is also there. Hydraulic oil and lube oil drainage signs underside indicator of impact damage to hydraulic and crankcase. I mean, engine is also suspected to have suffered some impact. Impact on the swing frame or the rotating frame. Hydraulic tank and fuel tank is also pressed. Hydraulic pump is impacted. Have a look at this. This is the hydraulic pump. Pilot pump is impacted and cracked. Just have a look at it. Now we have got very advanced camera. Go to macro mode and take photographs. You will be able to produce the crack also, which will be very clear. The counterweight is flattened on right side, and if you see, it has tilted. It should have been horizontal, but the upper gap on upper area is more, and the lower area it has come closer to the frame. That means the brackets and bolts are bent. This roller is out of trueness, we can see. Hydraulic pump underside is impacted. Now rear RHS view, track frame underside view, which shows that it is bent due to impact. I think you can have a look at the frame which is not aligned. And then there are two critical parts. This is a swing circle here, which is a bearing, very expensive bearing. For 290, it is costing about 10 to 12 lakhs. And there's a matching swing motor, shaft of which also gets bent in such impact cases. Another view, engine compartment general view, central CV view, and turbo body is also impacted. Stick cylinder is bent. AC compressor tilted, indicator of bracket of the body is broken. Now this is all because of transfer of impact. There's a heavy jerk, and these items are bent, leading to cracking or damages to the thing. Broken fin ends. Since it was in running conditions, because of out of trueness, the periphery of shroud had collided with the rotating fan blades. Broken crankcase and bracket. Now, with such a great fall from 22 feet height, the crankcase bracket is also broken. Now, this calls for ideally replacement of the block. Broken crankcase bracket piece is also lying there. Hydraulic pump end body cracked on pilot pump mounting area. Just have a look at the crack. This is the crack. Now, though we had snapped this identity, what is the location? If you have a look at this, who is the owner? Okay, what is the location? What is the lease, mining lease site? So these displays may not be there. In that case, we have to be very particular about identifying the location, because CPM is a locational policy. Now we go back to our presentation, cause analysis. As we have seen, it was near edge of the level 3. It was moving back and was about to fall. On sensing this, that and he cannot stop it. The operator jumped at the last moment, and thereafter the machine had a free from fall from a height of 22 feet. Proximate cause is accidental fall or an accident. Admissibility, yes. Loss not due to an excluded peril policy. Please refer to the earlier session in which it was clearly mentioned that it is an unnamed peril policy and an exclusion driven policy. We have to look at the exclusions. Okay, whether this accidental fall is not subject matter of indemnity, no, there's no exclusion, and hence the loss falls within ambit of the policy. Now, it is easy to say that, merely saying that yes, the loss is falling within ambit of policy, loss is falling outside ambit of the, it is easy. I mean, giving a statement would be much easier, but we have to substantiate, we have to justify whatever we are saying. So for that, we must evaluate, we must inspect, we must evaluate, we must discuss, we must explain and elaborate in our report in very, very explicit manner that what had happened as per narration of the first witness, and what could have happened in our perception, because sometimes we agree with the insured or insured's first witness or operator that yes, this has happened because of this. There may be certain different circumstances also that needs to be vetted, compared, vetted, and concluded. Okay, what could be the reason that this loss has happened? If the loss has happened because of an exclusion, we must put our foot down. We must come forward to say, no, I disagree, and this is the situation. We have to discuss more on this. Okay. Next point is limiting conditions. Now, in first case, I am going to discuss in detail. For rest of the cases, only specific points would be discussed, passing through these points. I think GSTV had 2 sessions. Okay, these were generic in nature, and overall overview was given, which was a wonderful session, and that prompted me to focus more on this particular aspect, because this should be the beginning of while we inspect the equipment, while we note down damages, we take photographs, we take statements. Now, GST is something which is very important in every case, because that is having a bearing of 5, 12, 18, and 28% in any case. And there are chances that the GST will be recovered by the departments from insured, or if it is a cashless case, which is happening in motor cases, insurers can take credit. So ultimately, there should not be a loss to any of the parties. For that, we need to understand how this GST would operate. I'm not going to give details of the GST. I'm going to give the concept. I think with these concepts, which have evolved over a period of time, we will be able to handle these claims satisfactorily. First of all, we must know whether the insured is having GST registration number or not. This is first question. Now, if insured is having GST registration number, there are certain industries, certain places, certain circumstances where GST input credit is not available. Okay, I'm not going to give you a very specific example in this case, because I have never come across that the equipment purchased GST registered entity is not able to recover GST or get input credit. But for hypothetical purposes, I am giving you an example. There may be a situation that GST registration होने के बावजूद इंश्योर्ड उसको जीएसटी का इनपुट नहीं ले सकता. So we have to be very clear. Yes, you are GST registered or not. If you are not registered, that means he's a small time operator. He doesn't have so much of business, which looks like irrational to me, because an equipment bills several lakhs in a month, and that crosses the GST threshold limit. But anyway, so we need to understand this first. Then check if the input is blocked or available. Normally, in case of CPM equipments, input is not blocked, but you can never say. There can be a situation that the input is blocked. If input is blocked, adequacy of sum insured is to be checked, including GST, and GST becomes element of cost for the insured. Now, we have to check age, date of purchase of the equipment, and date of loss. So that needs to be related to Rule 44(6) of GST, where it is specified that this GST availment is for 5 years. Okay. If age is more than 5 years, there's no need to talk about reversal. It is very clear. No reversal of GST would be required, and hence no GST would form part of our assessment. If the age is less than 5 years, we discussed this in our earlier session also. The specification broadly is very clear. We mostly, I mean, CPM claims are normally carried out by engineers. I don't know any of the chartered accountants surveyors who are carrying out equipment losses. So simply we have to understand, we keep in mind rule 44.6 says, 44.6c to be very precise, that the GST is spread over 60 months. Say 18%, that is to be divided by 60 months. For every one completed month, that is 1 by 60, 1.6%, 67% of input will be assumed and cleared as consumed. Okay. Now for rest of the months, say an equipment has run 6 months and the life is 60 and 18% amount is 10 lakh rupees. So 10% would be would not be given, and rest of the amount is required to be reversed by the insured, and that reversal becomes element of cost. This is all subject to adequacy of sum insured, that adequate and complete GST is included in sum insured. Now, once we consider, we have to first check point 3 and 4, we have already discussed. If we are considering some portion of GST as element of cost, in that case, insured has to reverse, and that needs to be shown in GSTR 3B, and we need to take this. There's one question from somebody which we are going to take in FAQs, particularly on this aspect, whether the CA certificate would be required. I think there's no need of CA certificate if insured is reversing the duty, and they are showing it in the reversal in relevant and respective GST returns. That is good enough. There's no need to insist for a CA certificate. Now, deviation. In case of a constructive total loss, there's a deviation. If in case of what we discussed was for a case of actual total loss when the machine is beyond repairs, okay, and the machine is sold as a scrap for utilitarian value, like they will take out some parts. Now what happens, there's a deviation that in some of the cases when we sell salvage, when insurers are asking us to proceed with salvage, the salvage realization may be good. It will not be purely on weight basis. In some of the cases, insured proposes and gives the best offer and retains the machine. There's one current case which I'm handling, which we concluded yesterday only. Keeping rule 44.6 and respective codes, there's no need to retire this asset from insured's book. Like in my case, insured was having 6 machines of identical make, model, and year. He took 6 machines at a time. Now he said, somebody is giving you 10 lakhs, I'm going to give you 12 lakhs for this machine. There was by way of a GIFSA disposal procedure. He retained that. He kept that as a spare machine that he will keep on using. Like sometimes engine will be taken out if it is not damaged. Say a hydraulic pump or a hydraulic motor, whatever good parts are there, those parts can be used. In such case, there's no need of GST reversal as far as present situation is concerned. If a new thing has come up, which is not to my knowledge, or there may be a future scenario, there's no clarity, but this is what we concluded after discussing with their chartered accountant, GST professional, and others, and looking into the GST rules. Please do not get confused on this part. This is just only for reference purposes and to sensitize you about how far it can go. Now, betterment factor. Say for a machine, EC290, in this case EC290 BLC, NRV produced was for EC290 BLC /R/R. Okay. Now, what is R/I? If you see, the models will have a different nomenclature. When there's a -R/I, this means this is internet enabled. Remotely, you can diagnose not only losses, but you can see how it is operating, how much track hours are there, how much engine hours it has done, how much working hours it has done. This can be monitored remotely by the service engineers of that particular region, as it is internet enabled, it is e-connected. Okay. Now for this particular part, in some betterments, say this machine was costing 120 lakhs, this EC290 BLC, that was discontinued. Not that it has become obsolete. Okay, it has not become obsolete. It has been upgraded with changes. It has been upgraded to accommodate, to sync the machine in real time with their data bank in cloud. Okay, so this 5 lakh rupees we could identify that, okay, what was the last selling price of the 290? It was 120 lakhs. What is the replacement cost? It was just on the junction. The situation has become on the junction and 125. We derated that by 5 lakh rupees to take care of betterment to arrive at hypothetical new replacement value for EC290 BLC. Now it can be adjusted, say if the gap is large, say if for a 2012 machine and a 2020 machine, the gap could be large. It may not be possible to identify in terms of rupee. So what needs to be done is, let us compare parameters of old machine and let us jot down parameters of new machine. You will be able to identify the engine power is more. It has from Euro 3 or Euro 4, it has become Euro 6. The fuel consumption per hour is less. Say earlier it used to be 16 liters, now it has become 14 liters. The power output is more. The track timing, because of improvement in material, which is normally 14% of an excavator, it has increased to 16%. And there may be several situations like a bucket was a normal duty. Now because of granite and marble and heavy works other than soil works, HD buckets are introduced. Now we have to quantify these betterments in terms of percentage. There's no straight line formula. We have to use our engineering skill. We have to use our market knowledge, and we have to use what likely impact it is going to. Yes, there are methodologies, but those methodologies are so large, so long that we'll not be able to do our job. Rather, we'll be doing some R&D, which is not our job. Now, adjust for betterment for arriving at value as per basis of indemnity 2B. I'm not talking of basis of indemnity 2A, which is repair basis. I'm talking of 2B. I think repair cases are very straight. We have to see items covered, items not covered, items with limited life as per policy, okay, items which are damaged and which can be repaired. These 5 sections put together will give us an assessment sheet, and we have to apply these limiting conditions as and when these are applicable. Okay, so to start with arriving at the market value or value of, there's no word like market in our policy. It says value of the machine by applying suitable depreciation. So we need to know new replacement value. First, know the GST status and apply the GST limitation, then go for betterment. Next would be depreciation. Depreciation in case of repair basis and depreciation in case of total loss basis. Policy is very clear, sorry, excuse me. Policy is very clear that parts meeting 2 criteria will be treated as limited life part, like parts subject to wear and tear and for which manufacturers have recommended specified hours to replace. Say in a case of a crane or an excavator or a dozer or a loader, the engine block will have life equal to life of the machine. Okay, say a machine is supposed to run for 15,000 or 20,000 hours. The engine block will run for 20,000 hours. Okay, the crank has to go for 20,000 hours. The conrods have to go for 20,000 hours. The cylinder assemblies have to go for 30,000 hours. The boom has to go for 20,000 hours. Now you come to the engine parts like rings, liners, bushes, bearings, wall sets, head, etc. You will find that these require minor service and full service at every 5,000 hours or 7,500 hours, depending on manufacturer's recommendation. If such items are involved, in that case, these are, because everything is subject to wear and tear. Even the frame is subject to wear and tear. With passage of time and with usage, it is subject to wear and tear. But they are saying for which manufacturers have stipulated some life. If we have a look at the manufacturer's manual, the manual will tell us how periodic maintenance is to be carried out. That is preventive, schedule, and even predictive maintenance. Okay. Now there are more normally questions, sir. How would I know? कैसे पता चलेगा कि इसकी life क्या है? Now this is a dicey question which we are going to address in FAQ section separately, क्योंकि यहाँ उसका purpose solve नहीं होगा. ठीक है. So depreciation on repair basis we have discussed. Say again take a case of an excavator. Normally an excavator might have a life of 15,000 hours or 20,000 hours. Now there are 2 types of approaches in market. They say economic feasible life of 15,000 hours. Okay, provided you operate equipment as per our guidelines, as per guidelines in the operation manuals. What happens? Every equipment has got an economic feasible life, and the life can be extended by repowering various assemblies and sub-assemblies like a hydraulic pump, an engine, a travel motor. They require replacement of a kit, and these are refurbished to extend the life by 5,000 to 7,500 hours. Now, in case of total loss, we have to keep these in mind that insured is having single machine or insured is having multiple machines. What is their practice? Whether they sell the machine at 15,000 hours or they extend the machine for another 20,000 hours. The normal practice is nobody wants to go in for heavy investment. When an equipment is running, it has crossed 15,000 hours. They will say, okay, how much expenses? 30 lakh rupees of repowering cost. Go for it. I'll get 5,000 hours more. So these kind of things are to be discussed, evaluated, and embedded in our report or in our assessment. And accordingly, depreciation needs to be applied. Say, for an example, an equipment has done 5,000 hours, okay, and the economic feasible life of the same is 15,000 hours. So the depreciation applicable in the event of constructive total loss would be 5 by 15. Please note that wherever in such equipments, normally the life clocked, I mean elapsed, and the life projected are normally broadly available because there are hour meters are there, and it is logged. There may be a logbook, there may be operator notebook, or there may be a remote center data logging may be there. So we would know how much hours it has clocked. Okay, in such cases, years of the age is not important, or is a second step where we have to go. But the first step would be number of hours clocked divided by estimated life of the machine. Now, if you see that yes, extended life can be considered, okay, if it is legitimate claim of extended life, in that case, this will be 5 by 20,000 hours. That means the depreciation applicable would be 25%. Please read the policy clause. Suitable by application of value, arriving at value by application of suitable depreciation. Now, the policy has left this to you. They have not left like motor policy that 5, 15, 25, 35, 40, 50%. No, there's no guideline, there's no tabulated method of application of depreciation. In that case, they are simply saying apply suitable depreciation. Now, the value is to be arrived by applying suitable depreciation. Now, what could be the suitable depreciation? These could be one method. There may be other methods. I don't say this is the only method, but this is one tried, trusted, and accepted method which we are using. When hours are not specified, like a 2010 machine, the hour meter had become dead since 2014. There's no operator's record. There's no logbook. There's no remote logging of the hours. In that case, we have to go by years. That yes, a machine would run for say 2,500 hours a year, 300 working days, and every year this much number of hours. Now, this will depend on nature of work. Like earthwork people, they are working 15 to 20 hours a day. They are clocking 15 to 20 hours. Whereas, say, for a hume pipe manufacturing factory or for a marble mines or for a granite mines, on an average, the daily running could be 5 to 6 hours. So, by way of experience, by way of interaction, by way of knowing lastly when the servicing was done, when the servicing was required to be done, and all that, we can arrive at a rate of depreciation. Salvage, repair basis. The points are identical. I'm going to discuss. First is repair basis utilitarian value. Okay, that means excuse me. That means an assembly is required to be replaced. Say cylinder assembly is required to be replaced. Okay, by MOC method, material of construction method, and scrap value, it would say weigh about 200 kgs and multiply it by 22 rupees prevailing cost. So it will be 4,400 rupees. Now we need to understand these are engineering cases, and it is expected of us to get involved in these things also. Okay, we need to discuss that the end fittings can be cut and new seamless tubes can be installed. It will be as good as new, and there are repairers in market who would give you good price for that. They will make seamless pipes. They will hone it to the size, fit the end fittings, and a spare replacement cylinder is available, which may not be as good as fresh, but it will be a serviceable part which can be sold at a lesser price. So we have to see, is there a possibility of utilitarian value for salvage? Then rebuild reuse is nothing but utility, another part of utilitarian value. Okay, so instead of cutting ends, you can straighten the rod, you can cut the rod surface, rechrome it, and you can reuse it. Then third and last method is MOC based scrap value. What is the material of construction? Brass, copper, aluminum, MS, special alloy, bearing steel. I mean, we have to, we all hear all these terms regularly. So we need to know what is the current market scrap price. You have to adjust that. Suppose if there's a scrap available for bearing steel, which is in deep interior. Okay, so the person who is going to buy it, he will see what is the Delhi or Bombay sell price, say 50 rupees a kg. He will say, I'll go there, I'll have it cut, transportation. So he will not offer 50 rupees, but he will say 38 rupees would be my rate. 2 rupees will be towards my travel and other things, 2 rupees for cutting, 2 rupees for transportation. So 44 rupees is something which I am going to get, and 6 rupees will be my margin. Okay, so by that way, we have to visualize. You have to think like a kabaddi. You have to think like a salvage buyer, and stepping in their shoes, we can negotiate. Okay, in the event of total loss, there are two routes. One route is public sector route, where they have got a specified limits of disposal of salvage, either 5 lakhs or 25 lakhs. Say, let us consider the current, most of the companies have adopted to 25 lakhs. Two have adopted 25 lakhs and two have yet to adopt this 25 lakh limit. In that case, you have to circulate the salvage in your known salvage buyers market, get 3 best quotes, and make a recommendation. After consulting with insurers, you can do that. And in case of, if the salvage is more than 25 lakh rupees, you have to go by advertising method or web auction method and something like that. For private insurers, there's no, I mean, fixed guideline. Like Reliance and ICICI Lombard are having their own internal teams of salvage disposal. Some will say, you give me value, if it is okay, or if we are getting a better value, we will sell it to that. So there's an element of uncertainty. But my request is, salvage is a matter which is always bothersome, which creates a lot of heartburn in minds of insured and insurers as well. Be cautious, be careful, jot down everything, keep everybody in loop, be transparent, be straight, do not engage into any of the activities, okay, which are not appreciated in market, because for salvage disposal, we are getting a disposal fee of 5% of the realization value, and hence we must do our best to get the best salvage value realization as per the guidelines of the insurers. Always keeps insurers in loop. Same utilitarian value, say a machine can be utilized as a spare bank, or machine can be rebuilt and used for a lesser application, I mean lesser load application. Say for earthwork, a machine would run for 20 hours, but I don't need to work on earthwork area. I have got a small mines where I have to load some material, where I have to shift some material. I need to run it for 5-6 hours. Even if there's a breakdown, I can afford. So that machine is rebuilt and sold in market, like total loss cars, total loss trucks. Second is MOC based scrap value, that what is the total composite value per kg. It would be 25 rupees or 30 rupees, because there will be some copper, there will be some brass, there will be some aluminum, there will be some items which can be retrieved and reused. Next is average and under insurance. Okay, we know that average means it should be replacement value cost insurance at the time of occurrence. Evaluate NRV for incident identical model with and without GST, or there may be an EP export promotion credit guarantee scheme may be there, or maybe some special import license may be there. Now these are to be compared on case to case basis. Depending on mode of settlement, that is repair, replacement, or total loss, the NRV is to be worked out. That means basic cost, GST input which needs to be taken care of for reversal, that will be forming replacement value, because it keeps changing every year. Every month it is changing by 1/60, that is 1.67%. Now this has happened in case of GST only. Earlier it was not the method. The method was different in case of MODVET and SANVET times. Now in case of advanced models, old models being upgraded and hence discontinued, adjust for betterment factor in NRV, we have already discussed. Same treatment is to be given for arriving at total loss value, as well as in case of average and under insurance. The guiding phrase is comparing apple to apple and banana to banana. The same is true for model, variant, GST, EPCG, and other scenario. We cannot have two standards or two scales, one for arriving at value of the machine and one for arriving at the average or under insurance. There has to be similar and same methodology. Now, the second part of average under insurance, for rational evaluation as to inclusion of GST, EPCG, other benefits in sum insured is to be done as below. Number one, if GST or EPCG is indicated in the policy as included, look for proposal form. If proposal form is giving any indication, in absence of 1 and 2, seek clarification from insured and confirmation from insurers what they want to say. Was there an intention to cover these? In absence of all this information, we have to take a call. In absence of further information, we have to take a call, and evaluation is to be done same as market value on basic price by applying suitable depreciation, and GST is to be adjusted in light of rule 44(6)(c), which is 1 divided by 60. Number of months life elapsed is not to be given claim of, and rest of the amount will be reverted. Evidence is to be collected, and we can consider that if it is part of the sum insured. Axis, we have to first see what the policy says. Okay, there might be different excesses. Compare with tariff provision and seek clarity on additional excesses, voluntary excesses, etc. if can be. सीधी बात तो है, दिमाग नहीं लगाने का, जो पॉलिसी में लिखा है कार्ड देने का. But I have seen in such cases there are certain typographical mistakes. There may be some imposed excesses which are not permitted. So ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि 50 लाख की मशीन में 50 lakhs का excess लग जाए. I think that kind of errors also happen. So we need to take care of that. Now, the most confusing area, 20% excess on boom. This is often confused. You all will agree with me. Okay, there are many questions in FAQ, question answer session last time also. Now, let us go to table 3, what tariff table 3 excesses say. For machinery under group 1, 2, 3, 4 and 4, except for crane about 10 ton capacity. Okay. Except for cranes about 10 ton capacity, no separate excess for cranes about 10 ton capacity is there. Okay, for cranes about 10 tons capacity under group 3 only. Now what is happening, I think there may be claim processing assistants, there may be claim processing officers, he may not be aware. For him, boom of a crane and boom of an excavator may be similar, or boom of a pipe laying machine may be similar. So boom is a generic name. Okay, but tariff has a specific provision that whenever a crane is having capacity more than 10 tons, the boom section damages will attract 20% excess. So no other boom section will attract 20% excess. I have seen even endorsement in the policy which are wrong, which is bad underwriting, not permitted by law. It is not filed with the insurers. Yes, if it is filed with the insurers, let them apply. It can be considered. Now there's a note under this table 3. Excess for boom section of cranes of about 10 ton capacity separately mentioned. In case of damages occur to the crane body as well as boom arising out of same incident, the respective excess will be applicable. That means for rest of the portion it will be 1%, for boom section it will be 20%. Not that 1% will be applied on the boom section also. Next is in case of one of the two is damaged, the corresponding excess only will apply. Suppose if a crane more than 10 ton is lifting and suddenly there's an impact on the boom, one section is about 10 lakh rupees, so only 20% boom section excess will be applicable and not the 1% section would be applicable. So what we have learned from this session, I'm going little fast. Can anybody tell me, should I have to go little slow, because there are 5 more cases? Sachin, Samir, Suresh, hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
yes, you are going absolutely right, sir.
Okay,
Hello?
because we have to finish 5 more cases. Okay. So
Yes,
what
yes.
is takeaway in this case? Accidental losses not excluded in policy are covered. The guiding factor is loss can happen because of any reason. We have to see any exclusion is applicable. That means the loss is not payable. Rest of the portion is payable. Okay. As it is an unnamed peril policy and it is an exclusion driven policy. This is our takeaway from the session. There are limiting conditions to every policy and are to be applied on case-to-case basis as applicable. Every time we have to see what are the limiting conditions applicable. If GST is nowhere in picture, we don't have to talk about GST. we can merely say GST not applicable. Okay. Now with these two learnings, we are switching to cases number 2 to 6 one by one. The next case is fire loss to Liugong loader. It's a Chinese loader. Concept is fire losses due to electrical short circuiting. Okay. Now there's a much confusion as far as the electrical short circuiting fires are concerned in equipments. I have seen different area insurers are treating cases differently. If there's a electrical short circuiting in equipment, they will say mechanical and electrical breakdown is not covered and hence claim is not payable. I think some of you would agree. I would not name those states, but definitely these kind of practices are there. Let us go to case number 2. As we have already discussed, how are we going to deal each case study? We'll go straight to callouts or the photographs first. Now, let us go to this Liugong wheel loader. Okay, this is a recent case of December 19. So we can see who is the manufacturer, what is the model, what is the rated power, what is the operating mass. This helps in many aspects. What is the serial number and what is the production date? 2011. Okay. Now, when I visited there, this was the condition. It was preliminarily inspected by somebody and a preliminary survey report was given. But this is the condition which was shown to us to identify what is the cause of loss. Now, hood was burnt and there was the fire was concentrated mainly on the cabin underside, engine compartment and hood. A closer view of the engine compartment. Fire and heat affected exhaust system placed nearby. LHS view, you won't find even fire impact on tires is there, but yes, this particular portion, you can see there is some fire effect. Now this is short circuited wiring loom which had triggered fire. We closed in on this after detailed deliberations that this is the loom which is going to MPFI, which is going to the system CRDE system, and this is where the fire had triggered. This is origin and seat of fire is somewhere this near this area. A closer view of CRDI nozzle wiring bunch. It is heat affected trans axle is there. Now when we have a look at the wire, there may be external fire which has burnt the insulation and there may be heavy current drawing inside the conductor which has burnt the insulation. Now these two wires will look different. There may be a scenario where we can go in for such kind of fire losses analysis, that how the fire could have started. Though forensic people are doing a lot of activities, but it may not be necessary and it may not be called for to depute a forensic agency in every time. So we should know the basics of these things, which we'll take in some other session. Have a look at the closer, closer look at these things. The bunch is burnt. This is exhibiting that there was a heavy current inflow and which has resulted into triggering a fire due to burning of insulation. Now, just have a look at this. This battery terminal is exhibiting heavy current drawing. Okay, there is no direct fire impact, but this is indicative of heavy current drawing. Close view of wiring and hoses which were burnt in fire. Another view, rear end, right side front view. The front end, you just have a look at these sections. The connecting links and the bucket, you will find there is no damage. LHS in front view. Now these are some items lying nearby. A closer view of the steering system, fan side, shroud, etc. The cabin is burnt badly. Another side of cabin, one more side of cabin. Inside of cabin clearly indicates that the fire had erupted somewhere underneath the cabin, and all the hoses and oil hoses and wiring leading to the cabin, including the dashboard and meters, have burned. Now we come to the engine. This engine is a Cummins engine. Now, the original engine fitted in this case was Cummins China engine, whereas insured had replaced this engine by identical Cummins engine of same specification, same model number by an Indian engine. But the number was not changed in the policy. This was a catch in this particular claim. This is the turbocharger which is severely heat affected and jammed. When we try to rotate the hot side, you will find that it is not rotating, or cold side. Engine fan side view. Now this is hydraulic transmission side, which is severely heat affected. Other view of transmission, closer view of transmission, which shows that it is heat affected. Now this is ECM, another evidence of short circuiting. This wiring going towards ECM, this indicates that this ECM could also be culprit in increased drawing of current. Okay, these are the CRDA cables, CRDA closer view, burnt MPFI. Burnt engine serial number is different. Now, as I told that 3 or 4 years back, there was some engine fault, okay, and it was getting delayed, getting spares from Cummins. So they immediately replaced it by another local Indian manufactured Cummins engine of identical specification. We verified, recommended in report that this kind of cannibalization is not uncommon. This is, and it has not altered or increased the risk, and hence the loss may be considered. Whether insurers have accepted that or not, this is not my call, this is their call. Engine serial number different, engine coupling side, wiring, closer view of ECM indicative of short circuiting, MPFI another view, the machine details, transmission assembly. We tried to crank the engine, but it was so jammed because of the heat. It had expanded. I mean, there was a severe heat and there was a pouring of water, which led to shrinkage or quenching effect. This has related to jamming of the engine. Condenser and oil cooler and radiator. This is ROS unit. Now we will go into the presentation part. Case 2, fire in a loader, a case of total loss. Abstract of the case, we have seen the photographs. We are going to discuss the abstract of the case, then limiting condition in details. But these details will be simpler or lesser as compared to the first case. Insured is HG Infra. Type of policy is CPM with floater. Item involved is Liugong China wheel loader. Nature of damages, fire originated within the equipment. Cause analysis, observations revealed wiring or bunch cable going to the injector CIDI were short circuited. Now, as I said, we have to differentiate. There may be external fire which has affected the cables or wiring, or there may be an internal heavy flow of current, overload current, which has triggering a fire. This triggered a fire. By the time action could be taken, the equipment was under heavy fire. So proximate cause is electrical short circuiting in MPFI wiring loom. Here I want to demonstrate the point which I basically differ. There may be surveyor brothers also who may be thinking that an electrical short circuiting fire, the loss at all is not payable. I beg to disagree. There may be a difference of opinion. There may be a debate. Insurers have to come forward as to the clarity on this aspect. Our institute can also work out, jotting down various comparative points, going over to the root cause, going over to the proximate cause, going over to the proximate cause theory and the policy stipulation, which I am going to discuss now. Yes, electrical breakdown, external damages are covered. The policy clear says because of an electrical or mechanical breakdown, if external damages occur, the loss is falling with the ambit of the policy. Here, the external context is external to that item, because beyond that item, nothing is covered. Admissibility, no, it is an unnamed peril policy. It is an exclusion driven policy. We must evaluation, explain and elaborate in report what exclusion is applicable, why it is applicable, and there should be reasonable evidence as to that. We have discussed this. The age is more than 5 years here, as we have seen 2011. It is not required to be reverted. Betterment factor, none. Limiting conditions, yes, in case of total loss, age greater than 5 years, hour based. We derived the hours because there was no meter had burnt. So we took their logbook, and logbook was showing that it has done 12,500 some hours. That was taken as the basis, as against 25,000 hours, 20,000 hours, and 62.5% depreciation was arrived. Salvage on total loss basis, MOC per utilitarian basis. If you have a look at the photographs, you will find there are many items which are not even heat affected. So it will have a utilitarian basis value, that some of the items can be taken out and utilized. But unfortunately, this Chinese loader is not having good population in India, and there may not be spares, recirculation spares takers, and hence it was sold finally at MOC basis. Minor underinsurance was applicable. Axis is 1% of sum insured. So what we have learned from this case, engine was changed with identical Indian Cummins variant. Invoice produced, insurers took a call to our deliberations that the claim has become voidable at the option of insurers. Now, ideally, what happens? There is a breach. Breach means the claim becomes voidable at the option of insurers. Okay, because the engine change was not intimated to insurers, but as a surveyor, I recommended that there is no aggravation, there is no alteration of the risk, even though they have not intimated. But this is not the one which has contributed. Even if it has contributed, we can delete the engine portion. Okay. Now, in such cases, at the most, insurers take a call not to consider engine or make the claim as non-standard. Electrical short circuiting leading to fire, yes, to my mind, it is very well covered. There is, though the house is divided, there are different opinions that it is not covered or covered. I'm not going to insist on that. I would request that this matter should be discussed at highest level and matter decided. Now, my answer why I consider this to be as falling within ambit of the policy. There's a legal maxim which says causa proxima not remota. That means the proximate active efficient cause of loss in this case is fire and not electrical short circuiting. Over to next case study number 3, Shubh Sangamarmar, muck sliding impact damage case. Going is okay. Sachin, Samir, Suresh. Hello. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Third case study. Third case study. Muck sliding, a case of repair basis 11 years old, and though it is uneconomical to repair by major replacement, but recently, maybe it was yesterday only, we decided the case as repairable. Session plan, muck sliding on excavator. Abstract of the case, photograph with comments. Let us go to photographs first. Okay, this is the location. Now we have advantage that we can go and note down our location and share with insurers. It will give coordinates also. Now have a look at the mines. The depth is about more than 150 to 200 feet, right? The top is having one crane, another crane, third crane, and the excavator had met with an accident somewhere here. Okay, so this is not a very old case. This is September case only. I tried including this despite being not settled so far. Now this is a photograph given by the insured. Just see, have a look at it. Almost one half portion of the machine is buried under muck. Okay, what happens? The rock is having some crack zones. With passage of time, whenever there are rainfall, the water creeps into the crack zones, and with the sun shining very bright, it gets evaporated, and the steam pressure generated makes it more weaker. When the excavator start working there, though it is considered apparently it is safe, it is a safe zone to work, But suddenly, due to destabilization, say one piece is pulled, and due to destabilization or loss of equilibrium, the entire mug falls on the machine, leading to damages. Just have a look from top. The machine is one portion is buried under muck. One more view. Another view. These are all photographs given by the insured. Now this is where we visited. This is the situation. A long shot. Excavator taken out on mine's ground level, which is yet to be shifted to the workshop. Now I'll show you some of the items which are severely damaged, like cabin. Cabin is severely damaged. Okay. And the frame is also bent. This is the serial number and model of the machine. Now this machine is practically upgraded by 2 or 3 steps, which is going to help us identifying the machine value. Now cylinder assembly, if you can see, it is okay. The sheet metal items are damaged. Lever assembly is bent. The internal lever housing is also impacted, as impact is clearly visible. Gear shift lever is also bent. Electric panel is damaged due to impact. Engine mountings are broken in this case due to the impact. Crawler track plates, track shoes are also bent because of the impact. Due to heavy impact, upper frame got misaligned and bent. Swing motor and swing circle are under cloud. There's a doubt that these are damaged. Then there are sheet metal items. This is Doosan make, Korean make. They say that the frame is impacted by rocks, though it doesn't stand to test of reasonableness, and these are already underside welded with strips. Now, such a situation, if we see the new machine is available for 62 lakhs and the insured has produced an estimate of 48 lakhs. If we go for replacement of cabin and frame only, the cost of replacement of these two items is 42 lakhs. And if we depreciate the machine, though our meter reading is not available, 2009 to 2020, we tried arriving at the daily usage, and we said the market value of machine cannot be more than 15 lakhs in this case, as against 62 lakhs new replacement value. If we replace only 2 items, yesterday only I had a discussion with insured. I made them understand, why don't you go for repairs? Go for good class repairs. This machine will serve you for another 3 years, and then you can buy a new machine. Suppose if I consider replacement of these 2 items, the cost of repairs would be uneconomical and it becomes a case of total loss. You have to buy a new machine spending 62 lakhs. So these kind of negotiations helps us in arriving at conclusion. Though it is uneconomical to repair means with replacements, but if we repair these parts which are normally not acceptable and not recommended in case of new equipments. Abstract of the case we are going to discuss, photographs we have seen, and limiting conditions in detail. Insured is Shubh Sangamarmar, type of policy is CPM, Doosan excavator serial number so and so, model 2009, nature of damage is muck sliding. Cause analysis, while working on a second step, big rocks from the third step fell on machine, which led to damages. Proximate cause, muck sliding, separation of loose mass from mother earth, which is called crack zones, which is normal in mining. Admissibility, yes, accidental fall of the muck. We must evaluate in detail, jot down and elaborate in report, because we may understand when we are at site, we have to make the processing officer understand and the competent authority who is signing the file understand that yes, the loss is falling within a limit of the policy. GST input, age is more than 5 years, it is 11 years old, it was purchased in MODVAT era, so no GST input adjustment is required. Betterment factor, new machine is much superior and is pegged at about 15% better than old 2009 version. So we compared the engine capacity, we compared the material science changes, we compared the turbocharger changes, we compared that this can be remotely logged in and monitored. Then we saw that the fuel consumption has gone down by 1 liter. All these put together were pegged at 15% betterment in the value. That means the starting value would be 15% lesser than the new replacement value of the machine as a hypothetical starting value. So we have already compared these things. Engine is Euro 6, enabled tracking, remote diagnostics, strengthened structures are there. I mean, they have strengthened, made it heavy duty. Then in case of total loss, no hour-based record is available. Age is more than 5 years. Average running per year is 1500 hours, 300 days, say 300 working days, 5 hours a day running in such type of situation. So 16,500 divided by 20,000, 82.5% is the depreciation, which works out to about 12.5 lakh of the market value. Now there can be repowering some time back, there can be some improvements, there can be some travel motor is changed. These kind of things are to be factored into arriving at the market value. Now insured has to produce record for hours clock to elaborate to calibrate the total applied depreciation. Salvage, total loss basis, dead weight of the machine is about 19,000 kgs. Adjust for concrete filled counterweight 3 metric tons because the counterweight is having an outer MS shell and inside the concrete is filled. So nobody would buy that concrete at the rate of 22 or 25 rupees from us. Net MOC is about 16 metric tons. MOC base value is 4.18 lakhs. Now upgrade for utility basis because there are several items like ROC unit is there. Okay, AC compressor may be there, AC condenser may be there. So on an average, we have pegged this at 30 rupees a kg item, which will be sold for 5.7 lakhs. This will be our reserve price for selling of the equipment. Now negotiate best value for the salvage. Average sum insured is 60 lakhs. NRV is 62.5. We deduct 15% from 62.04. Ideally, with the same model, 3.24% is under insurance, but 15% betterment is there, and hence no under insurance or average would be applicable. Axis 1% of the sum insured, 60,000 rupees. Take away 11 years old equipment, though repairable but high depreciation, making it uneconomical to repair and technically feasible to be repaired. So we are going in for repairs. Over insurance isn't going to give you benefit to the insured. The takeaway is, even if equipment, say suppose this equipment was insured for 62.5 less 15%, including GST, there would not have been any under insurance. But some over enthusiastic or enthusiastic development officers or marketing people tell them you insured a new value because they do not know how better the machine has become. Okay, indemnity and only indemnity is the fundamental of insurance in CPM, which is reinstatement policy. But in case of total loss, value is paramount. Over to next case, loss to underground tunnel drilling equipment, loose muck fall. Okay, we have our files in place. This is fourth case, loose fall, a case of repair replacement basis to rock drill boomer machine. It is an underground machine. There were two specific questions in last session pertaining to underground. I have tried to address these here. Otherwise, we'll discuss in detail in FAQ section. Loose fall on underground boomer rock drill machine. Abstract of the case, photograph with comment. Let us go to photographs first. These are the two photographs which are given by the insured. Just have a look at the roof. This is roof of the tunnel. Just have a look at these. These are rock bolts. Okay. When a tunnel is drilled, a detailed geological study is carried out by drilling holes, and accordingly the designs are prepared. These designs are not only prepared visualizing the strata of the area, but the local strata also. And bolts are given at particular pitch and particular depth of bolts are given, which are grouted with fast setting cement or fast setting chemical. Okay, just to make the hanging mass a monolithic mass securely tied with the mother earth. Okay, now these things are to be done by mainly people from geology and underground mining area specialists. Okay, so to carry out such activities, it is mandatory that one safety person should be there who would inspect the area. By and by, it is going on. They will test the strength of the rock mass. They will take samples and they will design. That design needs to be approved by the principals, and safety person has to go and certify that yes, this area is safe for operation. Okay, despite that, these losses are happening. I think yesterday only this Atal tunnel was opened. Okay, 9 plus kilometers. So you just cannot say, because how nature behaves is beyond our control. Despite all these precautions, losses happen, and thus this photo which is given, there was a fall here, fall of loose mass. Please observe, anchor bolt is snapped. Okay, this loose mass has fallen over the boom right side, which led to damages. This is how the machine was shown on surface. Just have a look at this. The cylinder is sheared. The cylinder rod is sheared. Okay, the impact was so great. This is another closer view, a very close view. The shear itself is saying cup and cone failure, which is saying that because of the heavy impact, the load was so heavy that it got sheared in cup and cone form. Another view of the fractured area, fresh surface, clearer structure, crystalline structure, says that this is not a case of fatigue failure or opening of a crack. Then the boom photographs. Okay, we took boom photographs, how it is there. I mean, the LHS is there and RHS is there. LHS boom is damaged and RHS is there. Some more photographs. Misalignment of these cylinders could be there. The broken and impacted boom. Another view, a closer view. Another view of machine, the manufacturing details, machine serial number, year, etc. Hour meter status clock. You just keep in mind, most of these heavy machines will have hour meter. It will never be on kilometers basis. There are certain equipments which will have both hour meter and kilometers, like heavy tippers, say 200-ton tippers, 150-ton tipper. They clock both. They clock hours and they clock kilometers also, because tippers are basically meant for that. Two side photographs. All other items are safe. Another side view from opposite side. The damaged item. Different views. Superficial rubbing on rod of LHS boom is there. Different views. A closer view of the separated piece. Fractured surface, which is fresh, crystalline, showing that the loss is fresh and there's no crack opening because of some impact. This was the project where underground tunnel. This is the underground tunnel where the machine had met with the loss. So we have seen photographs, and we are going to discuss various conditions. In short, is Vox engineer from Suresh Place, Hyderabad. It is an underground equipment, CPM. It is an Atlas Copco boomer. It is a tunnel drilling machine. Now, this particularly, this item is having tunnel drilling machine as the nomenclature. Why I have highlighted this, I am going to discuss nature of damages. It is a loose fall. Regular rock stability study and clearance is mandatorily given by the qualified rock mechanics engineer. Okay, that's why the loss is occurred. Work was in progress when the roof loose, which was already grouted with anchor bolt. It was already secured, but despite that, it has fallen, got separated from mother rock and fell over RHS boom, leading to shearing off of the cylinder. Proximate cause: loose fall, separation of loose mass in which rock bolted, grouted tunneling work got separated. Admissibility: yes, it is an accidental loss, not excluded in policy. Geostability reports are in place or not. We have to see though nobody does it. I mean, without carrying out such a study, they don't proceed. But despite that, we have to ask, okay, do you have carried out, have you carried out geostability inspections, and what are the reports? We must evaluate, explain, and elaborate in report with proper citations. GST input, repair case, not a total loss. GST input is available. Okay, not required to be reversed. Betterment factor, none betterment factor was observed. Though evaluation, now in such cases, what happens? The identical item could be there, but it will have increased capacity, the number of hammering strokes, forced to be compared with indications. Now, how to identify? Compare old part number with new part number. There'll be some difference. If identical part is there, no improvement, there'll be no changes. Otherwise, there'll be changes V1, V2, V3, V4, or some kind of nomenclature change will be there. If there's a nomenclature change, we have to ask why this change. They will say, sir, it is upgraded. What is the upgradation? So as to identify what is the betterment factor. Then depreciation. Yes, in case of total loss, not in case of partial losses. In this case, age is 3 years, that is 6,000 hours versus 18,000 hours projected life. Only limited life parts subject to depreciation, like bearing and bushes, which is not the case here. Past major overall and bushes bearing change can help application of depreciation. I mean, we can identify, okay, this was done about 2,000 hours back only, or 1,000 hours back only, and accordingly we can apply depreciation. Salvage, repair basis, MOC plus utilitarian basis, rupees 2,50,000. By weight, it was given that it might not fetch more than 10,000 rupees, but we told them, yes, there are several saved items which can be used in future. So not at full value, but at a derated value, they accept it as salvage. NRV available is 5% more than sum insured due to US dollar exchange rate increase. Policy not subject to escalation. Average applicable is there because it has gone up by 5%. Axis 1% of sum insured of rupees 351 lakhs, which is 3.51 lakhs. Takeaways, underground tunnel drilling machine exclusively. Now, if you have a look at the tariff, all machines working underground will attract a 50% loading because the risk is more. Okay, except for the tunnel boring and tunnel drilling machine, because the tunnel machines specifically meant for tunnel drilling and boring, the rating is already jacked up. For other machines like small LPDT, small excavators, and the similar equipments which are working underground, the risk goes up, and hence 50% premium is charged extra by the insurers. Now, escalation is recommended for imported items, and regular increase, there is a regular increase in exchange rates. Over to case study number 5, fire in a mobile crane on road. Now, this is CPM, which is special contingency policy. This is not only CPM, this is a special contingency policy. Okay. A little bit of change. CPM with SCP, special contingency policy. Normally what happens, some of the insured are having a requirement that their equipment keep moving from place to place very quickly, and they need to have a marine coverage also, a transit coverage outside the premises also. So a special combined policy, two policies are combined to make a special contingency policy so as to facilitate, and intimating every time becomes difficult. Sometimes insured forgets. So just to make it a seamless cover, a SCP is given. Now there was a fire in running mobile tire mounted crane. Though it is a tire mounted and registered crane, but it CPM can be given with SCP as a special kind of cover. Abstract of the case we are going to discuss after we see the photograph with comments. Now these are the photographs given by the insured. Just have a look at the fire brigade on left side, which is fighting fire, splashing water. Another view of the crane which has fallen and which is burning. The crane tires are burned completely. It is still simmering. It's a heavy crane. Burning crane is there. Another closer view. One more clear view after quenching of fire. Now, when we visited, this was the Zoomlin crane condition. Zoomlin was serviced in India by the Escorts. Zoomlin is a Chinese company. Escort was the Indian partner for servicing the cranes. This is another view, another side, a clear case of total loss. Nothing much was to be done. Severely heat affected. This is the machine serial number, which was very clear and which is very important to identify. Various other items burnt tires, busted, perforated diesel tank. Because of the heat, it got the diesel got evaporated and there was perforation due to heat and maybe a little bit of small explosion. Just have a look at this leaf set. It is reverse cambered. Cabin inside view. The engine side. Burnt batteries. This indicated that there was a heavy current flow. Rear underside view. Central portion heat affected. View. Another visit. Lying in their yard. Just have a look at the severity of fire and damages. The manufacturer's plate number, product number, machine serial number, engine side photographs, some repetitions. Okay, now we go on to the presentation part. Limiting condition as usual: GST, betterment, depreciation, average, salvage, excess. Insured is Nagaland Transport. The cover granted was special contingency policy which covered CPM and transit anywhere in country. That means even the outside location, any transit was held covered by way of special contingency policy. It's a Escort Zoomlin so-and-so crane. Nature of damages: fire originated within the equipment. It was very difficult to identify the origin, but yes, since there were no doubts as to involvement of any human element was not involved. Exact cause of loss can't be pinpointed given the severity of fire. It appears that electric wiring fault, short circuiting, arcing resulted in triggering of fire. Spread it to nearby portion where hoses, pipes, etc. carrying lube oil and hydraulic oil got heated, punctured, and that added fuel to the fire. So it was, by the time it was noticed, the fire was severe. There were no resources on highway. Fire tender reached little late, and by that time it was burnt severely. The proximate cause arrived at is electrical short circuiting in wiring, chafing of the cable reaching a terminal stage and coming in contact with the body in earthing. What happens over a period of time? These cables are tied normally, tied with various tags, various brackets. But over a period of time, because of vibration and abrasion with the metal part, the insulation gets chaffed, gets cut, and the conduct at some point of time, conductor comes in touch with the body, and heavy current is drawn, which initiates say heat, and the insulation catches fire, which results into this fire. Yes, it is an admissible claim. Yes, we must evaluate by way of elimination theory also. It can be done. We may not do it straight away. That's a case of we have to see various aspects. We have to see diesel lines. We have to see what was the condition, whether it was contaminated fuel or not. Though these things are run by diesel, and anything cheaper than that is kerosene only. Okay, with that too, which is blue kerosene. Okay, so kerosene and diesel are having almost same flash point, and I have seen people running trucks and various equipments on kerosene. The benefit is only difference in cost of the fuel, and risk is not aggravated. Only thing is the engine and pump gets damaged very eroded very quickly, because diesel is having a lubrication element, whereas the kerosene might not have that thing. So GST input greater than 5%, no adjustment required. It's a non-GST era purchase. SI advocacy with without GST to be evaluated, keeping in mind basis of sum insured as per policy clause. Not required to be reverted as age is more than 5 years. Betterment factor, none. No betterment factor was there. Depreciation, yes, in case of total loss. Now, here the hours were not available. There was no logbook maintained. There was no, maintenance record giving hours. So we evaluated the life elapsed is 9 years, projected life is 25 years. We arrived at 64% after the application of depreciation, that is 9 by 25, 36%. And the this is just to demonstrate that when our hours are not available, how to arrive at the value. Salvage total loss, tier weight was 15 tons. Weight after fire became 11.5 tons because the material, various rubber, tires, hoses, wiring and plastic material was burnt. That led to a loss of 3.5 tons. And there was transportation and cutting involved. So we arrived at unit rate as 22.5, which was agreed to by the insured, and the salvage was adjusted. And there were no utilitarian values because there were no, the crane population is very low and there were no buyers for recyclable parts. Secondly, it was severely burnt and hence use of second-hand parts was not there. Average NRV was 15% more than sum insured due to inflation in China over 9 years. Yuan versus Indian rate exchange. Policy subject to 25% escalation. Days elapsed since policy was 300 days. So escalation value sum insured available is 20.55% over sum insured. Total value available is 120.55, whereas NRV is 100 plus 1.15. So average is not applicable. Axis 1%. For SCP portion, additional axis is 5%. Suppose this damage has occurred in SCP portion, that is transit portion, and hence there was an additional axis. This was not only axis. There was a 1.5 lakh axis, plus there was an additional axis of 5 lakhs, which we deducted. Now the takeaway is a CPM policy can be upgraded as SCP policy, including transit cover too. It is nothing but combination of two separate policies booked separately in department, but a seamless cover is devised specially for the client. There can be other add-ons as per insured's requirement. Yes, there are companies who have provision for machinery breakdown cover also as an extension in CPM policies, but yes, mostly they are not giving. I have carried out one case maybe some 15-20 years back when it was filed and used. Maybe thereafter I have never come across a machinery breakdown extension in CPM policy. Rating a specialized job, normally under HO approval only, given to only large portfolio clients. Heavy premium is charged for such type of risk because the exposure is high. Additional access for other than CPM cover situation could be there, which is always invariably will be there. Escalation 25% is opted out. Insured was sensitized to the adequacy of sum insured concept by their development officer. It was a sweet surprise for me also. Now, the last case, which is a breakdown case, just to demonstrate the breakdown point.
ये फोन कौन सा रियलमी वाला है? करण का लगाओ फोन, करने तो बात देख ही रहे हैं। हाँ कितनी देर में आएगा?
Okay. Last case, I think it is 12:30, 1.5 hours already. We'll finish up this quick. Tire mounted mobile crane,
Yeah,
telescopic
after
crane.
this case,
Okay.
we will have
Question answer session. Okay, fine.
yes.
Okay. So this is tire mounted mobile telescopic crane, a case of mechanical breakdown. Session plan 6, abstract of the case, photograph with comments. We'll go to photographs first and then discussion on the case. This is a windmill area. Okay. You can see the windmills in backdrop. This is an excavator with third stage or fourth stage boom is bent. Have a look at this within this purple. And this is my car of that year 2015. I was at site. Lovely place, good site. Observe the leaning of boom segment number 4. Okay. A close view will give you the crimped base of boom segment. Just have a look at this. A closer view, a still further closer view, just see the crimping. Okay. Here on the yellow area on the underside, truncated area, the underside, other side. I think I have tried giving all. This is a crane of 2005 lever brake, one of the topmost manufacturer. The serial number and the type of crane is given. Okay. Rear left view, we can see these pipes are nothing but windmill tower, fabricated tower pieces are there which are erected by the crane. Just have a look at these two pipes. These are to be erected. And this is Sangvi Movers Pune party is there in short. Now what is done? This boom is picking up these parts, these cylindrical pieces, and erecting these at site, which are bolted and to attain the requisite height of 80 meter or so. Another closer view from right side. Okay, the underside. This is crane identity, registration number. Fourth telescopic stage 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth telescopic stage is there. This is machine serial number. Leaning after third stage, on fourth stage, just have a look at the leaning of this. Okay. Now this is a case where there may be a difference of opinion, but I'm going to demonstrate this for mechanical breakdown point of view. So abstract of the case, photographs, admissibility. Admissibility, I have particularly highlighted admissibility here, not in earlier cases, because earlier cases admissibility was not an issue, but here there's an issue. Quantification in case of non-admissibility is must. Means even if the claim is not admissible, quantification needs to be done as if nothing is, there's no issue of admissibility. Then limiting conditions in detail, GST input treatment, betterment, depreciation, average, salvage, excess. Insured is Sangvi Cranes Pune. Type of policy is CPM. Item involved is crane. Now CPM is giving an area. It is giving an area which is very wide. Say some more than say 200 square kilometer area is specified. So that kind of cover can be given to any specific insured. Nature of damages are breakdown in fourth stage. Cause analysis. The crane was lifting counterweight or a pipe of main crane weighing about 8 to 10 metric tons and wind was blowing, probably due to reactive jerk, slight swinging. The piece moves side to side and the vehicle is going on a rough terrain. There will be a vertical jerk also. The crane boom telescopic fourth piece got wrinkled at root of the fourth telescopic piece. The terrain was bumpy. It was not a paved road. Proximate cause is mechanical breakdown while moving. Admissibility, no. A case of mechanical breakdown and exclusion to the policy. I think this case was presented probably in Bhilai or somewhere, and there was a good argument by one of our senior member. And yes, there can be different analysis, different situation, but to me it appears to be a case of mechanical breakdown within outside ambit of the policy, and hence the claim is not admissible. Again, we must, even admissible cases, we are doing it very rationally, very meticulously. But whenever we are saying no, we have to be extra cautious. We have to think 10 times. Somebody should not suffer because of our excuse me lack of knowledge, our lack of understanding of the subject matter, or casual approach. No, we have, whenever we say no, we must give ample opportunities to the insured. Proper analysis should be done, discuss, jot it down, give detailed deliberations in report, and whenever we say no, it should be a detailed, complete elaboration in our report that why this loss is outside ambit of the policy. GST input not required, greater than 5 years age, non-GST era purchase, sum insured adequacy with without GST is to be evaluated, because the loss has occurred in say suppose in GST era. In that case, we have to do it. As the age is more than 5 years, no GST reversal is required. Betterment factor, none. No betterment factor was there. Identical piece was ordered. Depreciation, not in case of repair replacement basis. These are not limited life items. This particular element. Salvage was MOC and no utilitarian values was there because it had to be cut and sold as scrap. Average underinsurance was not applicable. It was adequately insured. Axis 1% of sum insured, subject to 50,000 rupees. So what we learn from this, CPM policy subject to electrical mechanical breakdown. Any external losses which happen due to mechanical breakdown are admissible. Had there been a loss to say equipment, the subject equipment externally because of the mechanical breakdown, the loss would have been covered. Meticulous analysis of root cause, proximate cause, active efficient cause of loss is important with engineering point of view, and it should be to the point and deliberated rationally. For smaller and middle level losses, we have to depend on our own abilities, research and support from colleagues, colleague surveys or from our domain. But for larger losses, we might depute. For this, we may discuss with the maintenance team, with the head of the maintenance and our own colleagues. For large losses, we can deploy a third party domain expert who can help arriving at the root cause analysis, and that can be compared with exclusion or inclusion and case decided accordingly. Note for records, joint notes, written communication, careful drafting of such communication is very important in such cases. Insured should be given ample opportunity, sufficient opportunity to counter with arguments, which should be addressed rationally before any negative conclusion. That finishes our today's 6 case studies. Please let me have your inputs on email ID or via
Thank you,
WhatsApp.
Senani sir.
Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Senani sir, for this wonderful session. Now I request all the members who wanted to ask the question can raise the hand, so one by one I can give the permission. Mr. David Makwan can ask the question. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Mr. David?
Yes, sir. I have unmuted. I want to hear you, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
audible. You can ask. Yeah.
पहले तो मनोहर साहब से थोड़ी कंप्लेन थी मेरी कि मेरा सोविनियर में आर्टिकल नहीं दिया है उन्होंने.
I'm sorry, I could not do
Oh,
it.
no, sorry, not accepted. Second thing. Okay. Now, second thing that nowadays the acceptance letters and consent letter from the insured is a must, sir.
Yeah, it's a must.
Yeah.
It's a must.
Okay. Second thing, your this one reporting was very well going on, and the 2 problems I have given for the first session. That is computation of your. I have given already in my this one chat box. You can see that. I should not elaborate and take more time because other people can also ask the questions. So thank you very much to you and to Sachin.
I have already addressed
your
queries.
David sir,
Haji.
I have also complained about you.
Yeah.
So yeah, next time also you have to publish this seminar in the name of ISLA. So let us glorify the name of ISLA. So it is my humble request and appeal to you to come forward and publish this webinar every 3 months or 6 months in the ISLA platform.
No, I have already planned for 2021. So let us see how it is going on. Yeah. With the support of the ISLA, I can do. Through me also, it is ISLA also. Don't worry, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right.
So next question, Mr. Surendra Nayak.
Yes, Nayak Babu. Hello, Mr. Nayak.
I think Mr. Nayak is not there. Sanjay sir, Sanjay Surpuria sir is with us. He is ex-vice president. Sanjay sir,
Sanjay ji.
you can ask the question.
Sanjay ji.
You have to unmute yourself, sir. Yeah. Sanjay sir, you
No.
have to unmute yourself. No, he's there. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. See, can the cost incurred to remove the machine from the place of loss is covered under CPM policy?
Definitely yes. There's a lot of confusion because we are reinstating the machine. If a machine has fallen in a pit, say 30 feet down the ditch, okay, to reinstate it is necessary to take it out. Now people are comparing 2,500 rupees towing charges of motor with CPM, which are not comparable. To my mind, it is very well payable.
See, I just asked this question. I'm handling one claim. One equipment is stuck up in a mud, and to remove it, insured has to build a road costing 13 lakhs of rupees, and cost of the machine is 45 lakhs.
Okay. It will be treated as retrieval of the machine. I don't think there is any limit. Though in such large expenses, it is to be discussed upfront. It cannot be done unilaterally by the insured. ऐसा होना चाहिए कि जो recovery का cost हो, that should not be more than the realizable value. I think this is basically the business principle. Okay, here you are saying 13 lakhs as against 45 lakhs sum insured. What is the worth of salvage? What was the worth of salvage? Not more than 5 to 8 lakh rupees. Suppose if it is a case of total loss. So spending 13 lakh rupees kind of money, here the surveyor has to take care. He has to take into confidence both the parties, insured and insurer. Okay, bhai, padta khata hai, nahi khata hai, posan khata hai, nahi khata hai, whether it is economical viable or not. Yes, very well payable. If it is an economically viable option, why can't we can consider.
Well, in addition to this, how can a surveyor, the machine which is stuck in the mud, could comment on what would be the quantum of loss?
Okay, it is very difficult. I have been handling these cases, and currently 3 of the cases are with me, including Mr. Nayar's claim. सतना से Mr. नायर का ही claim मेरा हमारा एक we have been discussing this claim. ये बड़ा difficult subject है और उसको करने के लिए we need one full session. If required, we can take some very typical 2 cases in 1.5 hour session, including this one. This is called basically bogging down. These are called bogging down cases. In our country, bogging down is not an excluded peril, but in most of the advanced countries, bogging down of equipment is an excluded cause of loss, which is not covered in the policy.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Mr. Love Patel. You have to unmute yourself and ask the question, Mr. Love Patel.
नहीं है, शायद चले गए वो भी.
नहीं, he is there.
Yeah. Unmute.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, लव जी. आपसे तो होती रहती है जद्दोजहद, दो हाथ होते रहते हैं आपसे.
सर आज का गेम 2020 की जगह 10-10 हो गया था सर. It was too fast. Sir, my question was, sir, that what exclusions means electrical breakdown exclusions, what should we delete from the assessment? Like you say is that wiring harness or everything was leading to that, and then later on ignited the fire, so external fire is involved. Then any adjustment is required for deleting the particular part which has ignited or something like that?
Your question and answer is absolutely ready. Wiring loom is already, wiring harness are already not covered in CPM policy. Okay, this is one part, because we are, even if a fire has initiated from wiring loom, we are not going to consider wiring loom even had it been a repair loss. A. B, in the event of total loss, what is normally done, we do not delete that particular item as electrical breakdown, but from audit point of view, you can say token 54,000 rupees wiring harness which initiated fire is deleted from total loss. Though it is irrational, it is unnecessary penalty to the client. But yes, sometimes you have to be very diplomatic in your deliberations. I do not deduct any such, initiation of fire from harness in my assessment. But yes, one of the auditors had pointed out and said, "Yaar, kaat diya karo, baad mein objection nahi rehta." I think that kind of treatment would be unfair on part of surveyor and insurer. That kind of deduction should not be there. ठीक है, लव जी?
Thank you, sir.
Agreed
Thank
on-
you, sir. Yeah, of course, sir.
So there is one more request from the Mr. Mallikarjun. Can you share the survey format on this?
I have already shared with you. I can upload once again now also, not an issue. I will upload.
Yeah.
Mr. Mallikarjun, your question is also there. That is addressed to in FAQ section, and I am definitely going to share this CPM format. Word and Excel format is there. I'll definitely share. It is for all of us to use. There's nothing, copyright kind of thing.
Right. I think we have covered almost all question. Rest question, members are requested to write us on training@isla.net because we have to take this FAQ session, which is pending in the session because of the time limit. You have to write us on training@isla.net. So next time we will cover that question also in this FAQ session. So thank you very much. Thank you all the members. Thank you, Mr. Senani sir, for your insightful lecture. And thank you all the members. Thank you participant and panelists. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.